Hello, and welcome to another episode of Starside Chat. Episode number 44, though I am dropping the number from the podcast feed and just putting the title in. So that's a little bit of a change for the podcast feed, but joining me as always is Aaron.
Hello.
And I have a little news for you, which is right off the top.
Lay it on me.
I finished Cyberpunk 2077 last night.
Ooh. How did it leave you? What's your overall impression?
I still liked it. It's still a little buggy and has some performance issues, but I think, like, I also finished Yakuza. I don't remember if we talked about that.
We did, yeah.
Last
we talked
episode.
About that. Yeah.
I'm pretty satisfied with where I ended up putting everything on my top 10 list. So I think I would not move anything based on having finished them now, but. Yeah, I did like the story. I think I'm very curious how some different decisions you could make would alter how some of those sequences play out at the end, almost to the point where I kind of want to go through the ending sequence again. I know I've heard people talk about like a perfect ending or whatever where something happens with Johnny or whatever, and I'm curious what that's like. I might just look it up, just look up a video. But I enjoyed it, and I think it ends off where that last mission, it does the Mass Effect thing of like, this is a point of no return. Are you sure you want to go do this, or do you have anything else to finish first? And so I think it like, if you make a save point right there, you can just like jump right back into it and just replay the ending sequence again. So it wouldn't be too difficult to do that. I'm curious how they will handle DLC, if they make it like a separate thing, or if it's one of those things where they just sort of tack it on somewhere in the middle of the playthrough, so you'd have to either start over again or just like load up an old save. But
yeah.
Also, supposedly not PvP, but some sort of multiplayer mode is happening for that game at some point.
Yes, I think that's probably been delayed with the pandemic and stuff, and also the terrible release.
Yeah, all the fixes they've had to work on.
Yeah.
Who knows when that's coming? I liked the combat enough that I might be willing to jump back in and see what a multiplayer mode would be like, especially if it's more cooperative. I think cooperative is more my speed these days.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Speaking of cooperative online modes, we can jump into the news because Watchdogs Legion is adding a cooperative mode on March 9th. So depending on when I get this podcast episode up, it may already be out, or it may be coming out very, very soon. It is cooperative stuff. They said that it's going to have a handful of cooperative missions and a raid-like thing. I don't know. How did you feel about the combat? Oh, I guess you didn't play that game, did you?
I never played it, but I did. I think we may have played a little bit of co-op in Watch Dogs 2. I can't recall. But Ubisoft makes good like co-op stuff. We definitely played co-op in whichever Far Cry was in India, and that was super fun because like one of us could get in a helicopter.
Oh yeah, that was really fun.
So I'm into like, they make great open worlds to just mess around in with a bunch of gadgets. Yeah. And so I mean, everything about this seems like it's going to be great.
That was my favorite part about Watchdogs Legion. It wasn't the story, it was just like messing around in that world. Just like flying around on a drone and just like dropping a spider drone to like go around and do stuff. So that could be really fun. You would have to get the game and maybe we could try it out, but I don't know. I don't know if it's free. I want to say it is, but I'm just like glancing at this article and they don't even say.
I'm sure it is.
It seems like the type of thing that would be like a free add-on later, sort of Ghost of Tsushima style, where they dropped that mode. I loved that mode, by the way. I should jump back into that game too, but anyway, something that I know is going to make you not very happy. Vampire the Masquerade was delayed again.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's had some woes. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was a game that I very much enjoyed in high school. I remember being in like computer class and looking up like articles about its development on like Blues News. I don't think that was a site that I used to look at. And I loved it. It was very, very buggy, such that, and they kind of stopped supporting it, and then the community sort of made their own patches for it to make it playable. But it was very cool. I like that world. I like the role playing that's involved in that game. It had some excellent storytelling, and this one seems crazy. It had some crazy trailers that came out like 2 E3s ago. But yeah, it's not going to be coming out anytime soon, which, I mean, that's fine. It's fine to have it delayed as long as it comes out and it's not terrible. So they can delay it as much as they want. And they probably, maybe they weren't going to delay it and they saw what happened with Cyberpunk and they were like, oh man, we should just delay this.
Yeah, what was that? What is that saying? I don't remember who it's attributed to, but they're like...
I want to say it's attributed to like Miyamoto, but I think that is like
right.
apocryphal. I don't know that he actually ever said that.
Yeah. But that hopefully will be the case here, where it will eventually come out and be a good game instead of being forever bad. But
yeah.
We can also talk about Nintendo Switch turning 4. That happened this last week. I don't remember the exact day.
I think it was the 3rd, March 3rd.
Yeah. Which I remember because you and I waited out in the cold in line at Best Buy to get a Switch, and
we went to go see Logan first.
Oh, that's right. We did do that. Also, wasn't there talk at one point about like eating at a restaurant before we went there? Did we actually do that? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Because I thought we were going to have time between like the movie and the time to line up for...
Yeah, because I want to say Logan got out at like 10, or it got out at such a point where, because the stuff wasn't going to get released until midnight, and we did have to wait for quite a while before midnight, I recall.
That was a good movie. I liked Logan, but sitting out in the cold, like at the time, I did not have like warm shoes or socks. So like my feet, I just remember being like completely frozen to the point where I was like tapping them on the ground to try to keep them from like falling asleep because I felt like they were going completely numb.
A great launch, though. I mean, Breath of the Wild is maybe one of the best launch titles of any generation, of any console. And
we may get another one, probably not this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe in 2022.
Yeah, and that leads to the next thing, which is the Bloomberg report about the Nintendo Switch Pro.
Yes. What do you think about this?
I mean, they said not coming anytime soon, or at least Nintendo did fairly recently, which, I mean, what, you know, anytime soon, what does that mean? Like, is that 6 months? Looking out 6 months, or looking out a year or two? Like, who knows? But, you know, we're about halfway through a life cycle. It's been 4 years, so like roughly 7 to 10 years, depending on if you're Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, I guess. But I don't know. It does feel like games that come out now are just, they need a little bit more power. And so I would definitely be down for a Switch Pro.
There were parts of Breath of the Wild that needed a little bit more power.
Yeah, that's true.
It definitely stuttered a little bit, but I am interested in this. My girlfriend plays on my Switch fairly regularly, so I could conceivably just give that to her and get this new Pro model, so we could have 2 Switches.
Yeah.
But what about you in your situation? Like, nobody else you know really has or need of a Switch, right? So would you upgrade to this new model?
So that's interesting because it would have to be like, am I going to get a Switch Pro to have a better time with Nintendo stuff, or do I buy a PS5?
That's a good question. Yeah, solid question.
And it's going to be a tough choice, not just for me, but anybody else who hasn't been able to get one yet. And I'm curious even if we don't run into a similar situation where they come out with a Switch Pro, but nobody can get one because of the chip shortage. So
I think it's going to be more a display shortage, because I think they're buying their displays from Samsung, and I want to say I read an article where they're only ordering like so many per quarter or something, and then the article like speculated that meant it was going to be like heavily like demand was heavily going to outweigh inventory. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so from this report, it says what the portable screen would still be 720, but it would be a larger display and smaller bezel, and then the dock could support 4K. So right now, I mean, there's already like a disparity between like when you're playing something in docked mode on a TV and the performance of it when you're playing it on portable mode. It's just gonna, like, that gulf is just gonna get wider if they do another 720p panel, I guess. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the internals make it so it runs better than they do currently.
I also heard, and like all of this is just rumor and speculation, but I think I heard that they were talking about making games that basically would only run on this Pro model and would not be able to be used on a first generation Switch, which would create sort of a divide.
Yeah, that would be rough. Like, imagine the next Zelda comes out and it's only on Switch Pro, but you can't
that's a way
get
to
a
sell
Switch.
a Switch Pro. I mean,
it is, but again, if we're still dealing with like chip and screen shortages and you can't get one, like, that would suck a lot. Like, I think it's already going to suck with the PlayStation and the Xbox situation, just because there are games that are going to come out that you can't play. Like right now, I'm thinking of, I know Returnal is a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
And that's coming out. I don't think that it's too much longer now before that comes out, and I'm not going to be able to play it because I don't have a PS5.
Nothing has grabbed me yet that is a PS5 exclusive that I'm like, I need a PS5.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that is going to happen eventually, but it's probably going to be something like some sort of tent pole, like the next God of War, or what else is in development
Horizon.
that we haven't really heard of? Yeah, maybe Horizon. I never played the first one, but
that game's out on PC, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you can get it on Steam, which is crazy.
Yeah. So I think they need to do more of that, where they make their first party stuff also come out on PC, like day and date, because then I wouldn't have to worry about, I can't play this game because it's only on PlayStation 5 and I can't get one.
Yeah.
I keep hoping, like, I keep clinging to the hope that, like, this whole situation is going to turn around and, like, PlayStation 5s are suddenly going to be much more available, and then we won't have to worry about, and hopefully that'll happen before something like God of War or the next Horizon comes out.
I think that will be the case by next Christmas, but I think in the summertime it's still going to be few and far between.
Yeah. So, I mean, they could run into the same problem when a Nintendo Switch Pro comes out, but I mean, if it comes out, say, even if it's not this year, even if it's like March of next year, so it's sort of like the 5th anniversary of the Switch release, they could do the same thing where it launches alongside Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and then later on in the year, Super Mario Odyssey 2.
God, what a dream that would be. I wouldn't even be mad. I would buy it happily.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't either. If it was available and I could just like go to a store and pick it up. So I'd
do it right now.
Bother with all of that. Yeah,
I would stop recording right now. I would leave my computer on and just leave.
I wouldn't even stop the recording. I would just walk out and I would just
do it.
Although I guess that's also true. If they announced that PlayStation 5s were just like all of a sudden in stores, I'd be like, oh, well, I gotta go.
I didn't know. I didn't do any research on this, but I was just watching a Twitch stream and somebody was talking about it. So I don't know how accurate this is. But did you hear about how I think Snoop Dogg was streaming Madden and then something happened and he just like walked away from his stream for like 6 hours?
No, I did not hear about that.
But just like left it streaming and people were like, oh, this is great.
That's funny. No, I did not hear about that.
Classic Snoop.
Classic Snoop. Well, do you want to get into the stuff from State of Play? This is a little bit old news because this happened, what, a week and a half ago or so?
The only thing I really want to talk about is the Final Fantasy VII stuff. Now, we talked about things that would make me buy a PlayStation 5. This came close, although I think it's not going to be super extensive. But instead of working on the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which like they should be doing. They have unveiled DLC for the first Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Did you see this coming? I kind of didn't see DLC for this game coming at all.
I had no idea this was coming, but it is a Yuffie DLC. I've always said Yuffie because there's two Fs, but I guess it's pronounced Yuffie. And it's, I guess, concurrent with the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first one, possibly only taking place when Cloud is gone. Unclear to me, but I would expect this to be like a 6-hour or less experience based on, I don't know, that's just what I'm guessing. But
do you think you'll be able to like access it separately, or will it just be like as you're playing through the main game, it'll be like, oh, by the way, here's this side mission?
Well, that's actually a really good question.
Like, how do they splice those two together, I guess, is a good question.
It's only available on PlayStation 5, which they kind of, they didn't outright say that in the trailer, but like there was some text that was like, hey, and when you upgrade to PlayStation 5, you'll also be able to buy this.
Yeah, it was like an end title screen, and I was like, oh, well, that really is like a kick in the nuts a little bit.
I would have played this, I think, if it was on PS4, even though my PS4 has not been turned on in a while, I have to say.
Same.
But I don't know. I like more Final Fantasy VII news, but I probably will watch someone stream this, to be honest, because I probably won't have a PS5 by the time this comes out in like July or June, whenever it comes. July 10th?
Yeah, it's coming over the summer, and we're not gonna have PS5s by then. I'm pretty sure.
No.
I guess, did you see the Solar Ash gameplay from State of Play?
I did. I love Hyper Light Drifter. I don't know how I feel about this Solar Ash game now that I've seen extensive gameplay of it. I don't think it's what I want it to be. It seems to be mostly a movement game. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of like go into an arena and like beat 'em up type things, which is what I was hoping it was. With like, I wanted it to basic.
It didn't seem like a spiritual successor to Hyper Light Drifter as much as I thought it was going to be, or as much as I wanted it to be. It definitely felt very different.
Yeah, I wanted it to be, kind of like a Zelda type thing, where similar to how Hyper Light Drifter was, like you're getting different guns, maybe some gadgets, you're upgrading abilities. But this would be a 3-dimensional version of that, where you're upgrading, you're getting crazy weapons and all that type of stuff. But it does seem like fairly linear, and you're sort of just following these paths of balls. I don't know. I'm not going to completely pass judgment on it, but I was a little underwhelmed by that trailer.
There was a gameplay trailer for Deathloop that did look really cool.
That does look cool, yeah.
Made it a little bit more clear as to what that game actually is. I think in the past we were not so sure. I forget when that's coming out, but I think I am more excited about it now, having seen that, than I was before.
I agree.
I thought it could be cool, but I wasn't like over the moon for it. And now it's like something that's like actively on my radar. So
yeah, I will definitely check that out when it comes out. I mean, I loved all of what was that game?
Dishonored.
Dishonored, that's what it is. I don't know why it took me so long to. But yeah, Arcane makes fun games. Like Dark Messiah of Might and Magic was, I feel, a very underrated game that was like a melee-based first-person shooter that I had a lot of fun with when it came out, like very physics-based. And Dishonored is great. It's like a spiritual successor to Thief, basically, where you're just like hiding out and looting things, but you have like crazy powers. I never played Prey, but I heard good things about it.
I heard good things about that game.
I watched some speed runs of it at like SGDQs, which made it seem insane. And that's something I might come back to eventually. It's kind of in my queue, but I've never picked it up. But I like Arcane Studios, and so I'm into this. I think it'll be good. Yeah,
it looks pretty cool. I definitely will play it when it comes out, so maybe we'll do a video on it or something. But also, a thing that happened was the anniversary of Pokemon, and so they did a Pokemon Direct.
Yes.
Anything get on your radar after watching this?
I mean, there was the big thing, but first of all, that Direct was pretty cool. Like they did basically this has been 25 years in Pokemon with this big
Yeah,
like
that
montage,
was really cool. Yeah.
which I really liked. But the big news is they're finally making that Breath of the Wild Pokemon game that everyone has asked for.
Yeah, and right out of the gate, it looked like the Pokemon themselves that you were seeing out in the world were running at like really low frame rate for some reason.
That was a little alarming.
That was a little alarming, but like hopefully it's just because the game is a long ways out, and so they just have a lot of time to work on it. But it did look essentially like Breath of the Wild. There was even like a shot towards the end of the trailer that was essentially direct from the
They knew what they were
Breath
doing.
of the Wild trailer.
They're definitely trying to evoke those like it seems crazy. I still don't really know what the gameplay is, because like I don't know how much like you're going to be fighting versus how much the Pokemon are going to be fighting for you.
Yeah, that was not clear to me as well.
But it like exploration, you're actually throwing Pokeballs. It's what everyone's always wanted. So this is a very exciting if they can actually get those frame rates up.
Yeah, it's definitely like you worry about the performance, especially since we just talked about the Switch and whether this is going to like require a Switch Pro or like what's going on there. But it's definitely the most exciting thing happening in Pokemon for like a long time. I feel like this is what everybody wanted Sword and Shield to be, and it just took them a little longer to get there.
They tried to. I mean, they had that wild area that was like like a compromise, but this is fully wild. And it's also crazy because it's in the past, so like there are wooden Pokeballs with like latches on them, which is interesting.
Yeah, it did have a more unique look as well, which I think was cool, that they kind of are going back to sort of the history of Pokemon and like before, I don't know, everything happened. But yeah, I thought it was cool, some of the different things they did with even the art style ever so slightly different. Do you have any interest whatsoever in the remake that they announced?
No, I have no I like the idea of Pokemon, and I enjoy learning about all the little monsters. That's why Pokemon Go was ideal for me, because I just like catching them, not so much the gameplay of the games.
Yeah.
My girlfriend is very into them, and she has played a couple of them. I don't think she's played, what are these, Diamond and Pearl?
Diamond and Pearl, yeah.
Yeah, so I have no nostalgia for these, but I mean, they're fine. I'm not anti them.
I didn't like the art style, which is basically, I thought they were going to do more of the Let's Go style.
Yeah, that would have been a preferable to what it looks like now.
Yeah, because it looks like just sort of a cutesy upgrade of the pixel art from the original games, and like maybe that's fine for some people.
Not that can be done well. Like, remember that Zelda? Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening looked great. That was awesome. I loved the art style of that game, and this is definitely like they're trying to sort of do something in that vein. But I didn't really like it.
No, yeah, it was
such that people saw it and they were like, "Is this like a mobile port? Like, is this coming to phones?" But no, it is on Switch.
Oh, I have something I want to talk about.
Okay.
I saw a trailer that initially I was excited for, and then my excitement dropped to zero. It's some new PUBG variant that is set in like the future, so you have like gadgets. I love PUBG. It was my first battle royale. I still boot it up every once in a while, although I play Apex Legends more than that if I am going to play a battle royale. But
have you seen that run on Switch?
Yeah. Well, it's what is it? The 9th? Next Tuesday, I think, is when Apex Legends comes out on Switch.
The trailer did not do anything for it.
No. The PUBG game at the end of the trailer, though, was like coming out exclusively on iOS and Android.
Oh, really?
Which is awful, and I hate, and I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, but that's real bad.
I wish that they had also put it on PC, because it looked like super fun. There were like, I mean, that was the thing that I always was jealous of. What was it? Call of Duty Blackout was something I wanted to get into because it had like crazy gadgets that you could all use. And PUBG has like some stuff that's interesting, but you don't have like a little car you can remote control around and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't even remember what it's called. It's not worth talking about because it's on phones. But PUBG, you're on notice.
Yeah, that is disappointing. Direct to mobile.
Yeah.
Should we get into what we've been playing?
Yes, we should also talk about, I didn't put it on here because I know you don't watch it, so we can't really discuss it, but WandaVision ended yesterday. Right. It was very good. It was a very satisfying ending. It was a little bit of a letdown just because we weren't really sure how far these TV shows could take things. And so this was a weekly thing. So after every episode, people were speculating, like, this is crazy. Like, this show is going to introduce the X-Men, or like this show is going to introduce the Fantastic Four. We're going to get a crazy cameo at the end. That's going to be the person who's playing, someone in the Fantastic Four. All this crazy stuff is going to happen. And then Paul Bettany was like, oh yeah, get ready for something on the level of, well, I don't want to spoil it, but the last episode of The Mandalorian, what happened with that? Because something crazy is going to happen. And nothing super crazy happened, which is... I mean, a little bit of a bummer, but it did have 2 post-credit scenes, and they were both pretty cool. But overall, I think the first season, right? I mean, I don't know what a second season of this would look like. I don't think you could do a second season of this, but I would say it was great. Every episode was very solid, and I highly recommend it if you ever get Disney Plus.
So they're going directly into the next show, whatever the next show is?
We have a week off, and then we're gonna get the Winter Soldier and the Falcon. And that is, I want to say, 6 hour-long episodes. And then we have, like, maybe a month off, or maybe, like, 2 or 3 weeks off. And then the Loki show starts.
There was a trailer for a new Spider-Man movie as well, wasn't there?
They unveiled the title.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
And they made a bunch of, like, tongue-in-cheek videos where they were, revealing alternate titles for it. And then they eventually... That Spider-Man movie is going to be insane, I think. And I'm very much looking forward to that.
I didn't watch the video. I just saw that it dropped, and I was like, oh, okay.
It seems like this next phase... Like, this phase is taking a while to take off, but this next phase in Marvel's cinematic universe is all about magic. Like, it seems like this Spider-Man one is going to be crazy magic-based. The next Doctor Strange movie... is called like the Multiverse of Mayhem or Madness or something. The end of WandaVision heavily implies that magic is going to be prominently featured in this next phase. So I think we're going to see a lot of magic-based plots and heroes in this upcoming, whenever they start to make Marvel movies again and release them.
Yeah. As someone who maybe prefers a little bit more grounded superheroes, I don't know how much I like that idea, but... I'm probably in the minority in saying that.
I would totally be fine if there was never a Marvel movie again, just ending it with Endgame, because that was a very solid ending. Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man Far From Home was a very fun movie, and I enjoyed it. But I'm good. I mean, they're going to keep making them, but I feel like they've cemented their legacy of like 20 movies that are like pretty great overall.
Yeah, I mean, not all of them are great, but like they're all pretty good, and that whole thing, the way it comes together, especially towards the end with those big team-up movies, like, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I would be fine if they never made another one, but of course they're not going to do that.
But let's talk about this. We have 2 other videos going up on our channel this week, and both of them are about games that we've been playing.
Yeah, so we did a video about the Outriders demo. That game comes out April 1st, but there is a free demo that you can download on PC and PS4 and Xbox One. Also on the new consoles, probably, most likely. I don't know if there's like an official version or if you're just downloading the PS4 version on PS5. I'm not sure what the situation is going on there. The game is also coming to Stadia, but there's not a demo on Stadia for some reason. But yeah, so you can play it just about everywhere, not coming to Switch. And we did a video on it, so that's going to go up on the channel soon. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I played a bunch of it. There's sort of a cap to how much you can do in the demo. It like stops at level 7 as far as like ranking up your character, and world tier 5, which is sort of like a difficulty setting that sort of advances as you level up. But yeah, I don't know. Are you more interested now than maybe you were before, having seen some of it?
I don't know. I don't know that I'm in the right place for a live game right now, like a game as service type thing where you have to keep playing it over and over again. I have been very into like narrative based games and or like single player experiences currently, but I do see the appeal of it, and I every once in a while I'll think to myself like maybe I should start to play Destiny again because I do like that looter shooter type grind, but I just haven't gotten that itch recently.
Well, so here's the thing. It is supposed to be like a 40 plus hour like story driven thing that does not have like live service aspects. Like it's not supposed to be a Destiny clone or Destiny killer. Like it's not supposed to have like a raid that you're building up towards. It's not supposed to have like replayable strikes that you do, but I think you can play the entire thing in co-op, and I don't know. I think there is some stuff that you can do like once you finish the story that's supposed to be sort of like a in-game activity type of thing, but it's not meant to be a live service Destiny killer type of a game. It's supposed to. That's why when we were doing our video, I kind of compared it to Mass Effect quite a bit. Because I think it is supposed to be more of just like a sci-fi RPG story thing. It just does not have the, like when you're in dialogue, you're not making choices throughout the entire thing. At least you're not in the demo. So I don't know if that changes at all during the story. The story is all right so far. It's not the best thing I've ever played. There's definitely like some corny dialogue that is not the best, and like the voice acting could use some work here and there. But yeah, it's definitely more of a story where you're going to be playing through a ton of story chapters and doing side quests. So there's definitely not PvP that is there as well. So you're not supposed to think of it as another Destiny, which I mean I'm fine with. I'm excited to get into it and actually play through like a 40-hour story with that kind of like fast, fluid combat mechanics.
The combat did seem fun, I will say that. Yeah, like especially the one that was kind of like that Mass Effect class where you were jumping around the field and appearing behind people looked super fun.
Yeah, the Trickster where you can like teleport behind people and then like do a little slash that like turns everybody into skeletons and makes them explode, or shoot them with a shotgun is really, really fun. Even the Technomancer, which is more of like a keep your distance, shoot with like a rifle and like throw out turrets. Even that class, you can basically just run and gun and just like run around and do a big melee attack. And so I am really enjoying the different abilities and powers. And I think the demo is nice because you can test all four of them out so that you know, okay, I'm going to stick with this one for like the entirety of my long story playthrough. So it's worth checking out. I mean, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you have any interest whatsoever, like give it a shot. And if it's not your thing, like whatever, don't buy it. The other video we did was Loop Hero.
Yes, hot off the presses. I don't know actually how long ago it came out. I think it was probably a couple weeks ago. But everybody's playing right now, in addition to Valheim. It's only at time of recording, it's on sale for like $12 on Steam, which is where I'm playing it. It's very fun. It's an interesting game because you never are actively controlling the main character. You're sort of just affecting things around him. There's two stages. There is the like encampment stage where you're building up your base, and then there is the loop. I don't want to get too much in the story because I think it's pretty interesting, but it's an old retro pixel art style, and basically the loop section, it randomly generates a circle that is some crazy shape of squares, and you go around that, and as you go around, monsters spawn on it, tiles become different. There's a card-based system where you're dragging and dropping tiles to give yourself more health or armor, or different other perks. You're collecting resources that you can eventually take back to your camp to upgrade. And it's pretty fun. You can play it with just a mouse. You don't need a keyboard. Or I assume eventually it'll have controller support. But basically all you're doing is like there's a meter for like days passing, and then there is a like boss meter that eventually will get to max, and then about a boss appears. But I find it very addictive in the same way that Hades was addictive, where they have created coincidentally a great loop where you do a bunch of stuff and then you come back to your base, you upgrade, and then you immediately want to play again. And I booted it up, and for the first time I played it for like an hour and a half because I was just enthralled by it. And we'll have a video up, I think probably this week or whenever, so you can see some gameplay of it. But also, the audio might be a little low in it as far as the gameplay audio, but the music is really good too.
Yeah, I did not really know much about it. I had seen a trailer and I knew that people were talking about it a lot. And so like just sort of going through that video with you made me really want to actually download it and check it out. So I may do that. Yeah, it's not bad.
Something I definitely recommend.
Yeah, so briefly, I can say I did check out Pixel Junk Raiders, which is like the new free game for Stadia Pro subscribers. I mean, there are other free games that get added every month, but this one was the one that caught my eye. I watched a trailer and I did not like it. So
what type of game is it?
The art style is actually kind of cool. Everything's very saturated. But basically the story is some alien species have taken over these planets, and there are a bunch of hostages, and the alien species that have been taken hostages look like they're straight out of Star Wars. But basically, I don't know if you're playing like a robot or some sort of alien. You look like a human kid. And so you go down to these places, and there are some like roguelike elements to it where as you're going around the world to like rescue these people, you will get these little upgrades. So you get some enhancements that will make you faster and attack stronger and make your health, last longer. But it's sort of really tough. I thought maybe it was because I was playing with mouse and keyboard and it seems designed to be played with a controller. But you can dodge and you can melee, with both your left and right hand, and they're like separate button presses to do that. And you can get weapons like a sword to attack with. And that makes combat much easier, but it will, I think, eventually break after a while. And, but the thing is, if you get like a bunch of gear and equipment and all of that, if you die, which is very easy to happen because if they hit you like once or twice, like you're down for the count, like you don't have a lot of health and they hit pretty hard. And so you lose all of your enhancements and all of the gear that you picked up. But I didn't find the loop of like going down to the planet to like knock out a bunch of alien creatures and save the like 4 or 5 people that were around, and then go back to my ship and like, do some upgrades or whatever, and then go to the next place. I didn't find that particularly compelling or interesting. And I don't know, I got fairly bored with it fairly quickly. There is some platforming to it as well, but like it feels like a game out of a different generation where it's, I don't know, almost something that could have been on like the N64 or the PS1 generation.
It looks like a kind of a less good version of what's that Rain game that just came out?
Risk of Rain.
What is it?
Risk of Rain.
Yes, it looks like Risk of Rain 2, but bad.
Yeah, I was not very impressed with it. I looked up the developer. I guess they make a bunch of games, sort of Pixel Junk something, Pixel Junk something else or whatever. And they've all been pretty mixed reviews. So I thought this was going to be interesting because I was like, oh, it's a new sort of indie game that's coming and it's sort of exclusive on Stadia and it's free to play, so I might as well try it and see what is there. And the art style seemed kind of interesting, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I played like a couple hours. I cleared like the first maybe 2 or 3 worlds. And then I just kind of got stuck because I kept getting surrounded by enemies and they kept knocking me out and I would lose all of my upgrades and it would be very frustrating. And I was like, I was not digging the platforming as well. So I was just like, I think maybe I'm good on this. But I mean, it's there if it strikes your fancy, but it was not for me.
Did you play that Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected?
I did. So that game, I think it's exclusive to Switch right now. I downloaded it. I
believe you're correct, yeah.
This is not normally the type of game that I would play, I guess, but Ghosts and Goblins is kind of a blind spot for me. I never played the old, like the original games, but I kind of liked the art style, which I think is kind of controversial thing to say, because I think a lot of the fans of the classics are kind of not happy that they went away with from the pixel art of the old titles and went to more of like this hand-drawn like picture book style.
Yeah.
Everything looks like it's sort of on paper. It's almost like Where the Wild Things Are, if you remember that book.
Oh yeah, it is reminiscent of that kind of.
Yeah, and it's like it lacks a lot of like the modern controls. Like you don't have a double jump, you can't dash. So you're very much like you have to get used to, okay, this is the pace that he runs at and it's fairly slow. And this is how high he jumps, which is not super high. But that's like sort of part of the challenge of it is just sort of like working within those constraints. Mm-hmm. And like I liked Cuphead a lot, which was another game that like had a really unique art style that I enjoyed, and it was side scrolling and it was like brutally difficult. I got really into that game, so I was like, well, I'll give this a shot. It seems like it wouldn't be too much worse than, say, Cuphead. But it is. It's very difficult. But I think it does a lot of things to sort of help you out. And it seems fairly clear that the developers want you to like be able to get through it, because like I was playing the other day and I was trying to beat a boss battle and I kept dying over and over again. And at like the screen in between like you dying and loading up the checkpoint, it was like, oh, keep going, you're like halfway there, you're almost there, just like give it one more shot. And I was like, wow, you're very nice to me for being so bad at your game. You like really want me to get through this. I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot. And I did eventually get through it, but I think it like there are a lot of different difficulty settings as well. So you can like turn it down if you keep dying and just like sort of get through it a little bit easier, where you can sort of take more hits than you can at the higher difficulty tiers. And there's like a fairly good checkpoint system where if you just sort of like push yourself through it, you can get to that next flag to like set up a checkpoint. And then if you die again, you can start from there. And so you can just sort of like, you know, push yourself and you just like, you clear that next checkpoint and then you clear the next one after that. And eventually you get all the way through it. So for being a brutally difficult game, it is like fairly generous at sort of trying to help you get through it. And I enjoyed it for that. I think the art style I enjoyed, and some of the designs of the levels and layouts was interesting. And I could tell just like in sort of beating my head against that boss that I couldn't get through, like I started to like learn the mechanics of it, where I was like, okay, he's going to do this and I can, you know, go here and I need to like start avoiding this. And so you kind of learn to get better at it, even though like I'm new to Ghosts and Goblins. I didn't play the old ones and I'm like sort of struggling to get through some sections of the game. Like I'm sort of learning to get better at it. And I think so. It's like a different thing to wrap your head around. I'm not used to playing games quite as difficult as this, but I'm enjoying it. So also, because they have like such a good sort of checkpoint system, like having it on the Switch is really good, because you're like, okay, well, I worked at it and I got to this next checkpoint. I'm just going to hit sleep mode and I'll pick it up again later. And I like similar with Cuphead where I would get stuck on something for a while and then I would have to set it down. And then when I picked it back up again, I would just like clear it and I was like no problem. I was like, why did I have trouble with this before? So, it's striking that itch of that like tough game that's also like feels really rewarding when you do finally like get through that next section or whatever. So yeah, not too bad. It's getting some mixed reviews. I read the one on Game Informer. They were very positive on it. I know GameSpot was very down on it, and they
oh really
they gave it like a 4. And,
wow.
And they were like, this game is hard and is just sort of reminder that old style of like tough arcade game where you die repeatedly so that you'll have to put more quarters in the machine, like that just needs to go away or whatever. And everybody was like everybody was really trolling them in the comments. They're like, GameSpot doesn't like hard games. So I don't know what to make of the review situation, but I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I think it just comes down to if you're like a fan of the old games and whether you like the art style or not. I think it may be a turnoff or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I would check this out.
It's pretty good. You know how like when you buy games on the Nintendo store or whatever, they give you like credits.
Yeah, they do.
I had
coins.
I had built up a lot of credits, so I got it for pretty cheap.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's worth checking out. Any chance you played anything else?
Mostly all I've been doing. I talked about this on last week's episode, or however long ago's episode. But in the previous episode, it was right after the big 1.5 update came out for Stardew Valley on Switch.
Oh yeah.
And so my girlfriend and I have been playing that almost like every night, maybe every other night. And we have just gotten to the winter section of the first year. But I'll tell you, that game is very fun to play with someone else because it takes a lot of the pressure off if like we're both working towards completing those bundles in like recreational center or whatever. It's pretty fun, I have to say. It was so fun that I started my own single player game on computer on Steam because I also have it on my computer. And I'm just like min-maxing it like crazy and getting a bunch of money. But yeah, if you've never played Stardew Valley before, now is a great time to jump in, especially if you have a Switch and you have someone else who wants to play split screen with you, because that works really well, and it's just like a joy to play with someone else, I have to say. You can play with up to like 4 people, I think, and they even have a new farm called the Four Corners Farm, I want to say, that's specifically designed for 4-player co-op if you want to do that. There's also a really cool forest farm or a beach farm you can play. There's infinite ways to play that game, and there's a ton of new content with the 1.5. If you used to play that game like right when it came out, they never stopped adding to it. The developer is like a super cool guy who's like constantly adding things, and this big 1.5 update added even more stuff. There's like a whole end game new island you can go to with new mechanics and new things to do. Like, there's never been a better time to play Stardew Valley, I have to say.
Yeah, I really liked it when I played it. I just haven't gotten around to playing it in a really long time. So it probably would be a good time for me to jump back into it.
Great to play on Switch, I have to say.
Well, another one that actually would be good for you since you like playing games in co-op with your girlfriend would be Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tassos. Have you heard of this game?
I have no idea what you just said. What is that?
Rogue Heroes, Ruins of Tassos. I don't know what that means. But it's on Switch, it's on Steam, and it is basically a Zelda-like, so I think like A Link to the Past. But you can play it with up to like 4 people in local or online co-op. And I want to say there's like even some... I have not played this yet, so I can't speak too definitively on it, but I want to say there's like some like town building or like village building or whatever that you can do, but otherwise like combat wise and like you get like the grappling hook and all of that, and it does seem very Zelda like. So
I'm watching footage of it right now. This seems very cool.
Yeah, this is a game that I I plan on playing at some point soon because it looks very cool to me, and it does remind me a lot of A Link to the Past just looking at it. And it's cool that you can play it with up to 4 people in like local or online co-op. So
yeah, this seems great.
So yeah,
I'm gonna check this out.
There's a little recommendation for you. What else did I play? We already talked about it, but I finished Little Nightmares 2, and I do want you to play that game just because
I will eventually.
I really want your impressions of like where that game goes, like in the last chapter, because it is insane. Like some of the implications of like where that game goes, like it gets real crazy and wild, and I really like I would love to like even do like a half a podcast just talking about
we should.
Where that
after I complete it, we'll do like a little spoiler cast about it.
All right, sounds good. But I think that will lead us to your parting wisdom.
Zach, what's your go-to Ben & Jerry's flavor?
I don't know. I do not eat a lot of ice cream, to be honest. I don't remember the last time I had Ben & Jerry's.
Really? Did you ever have Americone Dream? When that came out, I feel like everybody tried it because it was great.
I don't recall that.
Zach, I tried out the next Netflix and chilled ice cream, which you may have heard like commercials for on podcasts.
Sure.
It's very good. I usually am like a Americone Dream type guy because I like that crunch of the cone.
What is the flavor of this? Because the name gives no indication.
No, it's peanut butter ice cream, which actually, like, I like peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
This is maybe the first peanut butter ice cream that I have eaten that does not like hit you in the face with peanut butter. Like it's a very subtle peanut butter flavor with sweet and salty pepper or pretzel swirls. So there is a crunch. I love ice cream with a crunch, and then fudge brownies also. And man, like the pretzels really, really work in this. Like the crunch mixed with the peanut butter, mixed with the chocolate fudge. Like I picked one of these up on a whim just because like, oh, I like peanut butter. I'll try this out. And I got to say, it knocked it out of the park. This is maybe their best new flavor in a really long time.
That sounds good. I mean, I have stopped eating sugar. So
are you doing ketosis?
No, I do not. I'm not on a keto diet. So I still eat carbs, but I don't eat sugar anymore. So, and like, it's one of those choices that I made because I wanted to like lose weight last year. And so I've gotten in shape and I've lost weight.
What?
And I don't eat sugar, and it really has not been hard for me. It was just like one of those things that I was like, I'm just not going to eat sugar anymore.
Would you be willing to post a picture of your abs on our Instagram?
No. I've got like a half pack.
Oh my God.
I got like for sure two to 4. It depends on the day.
Man. That's crazy.
But no, it's been good. I started doing intermittent fasting last year.
And, yeah.
And I started working out every day. So I work out like 6 days a week. And
wow.
I actually, you might like this. I do the One Punch Man thing of like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats. I just don't do all the running that he does. Man,
that's crazy. All you have to do is remove your limiter, and then you'll become One Punch Man.
Ooh, and I need to do that. That is the ultimate goal: become One Punch Man.
Man, that's crazy. Although I haven't seen it in a while, Zach. But the bad thing about the One Punch Man exercise routine.
What is it?
It makes you go bald.
Well, I mean, there's no avoiding that for me to begin with. Like, that runs in my family. My dad is bald, so like, inevitably one of these days, that's just gonna be a reality, and I'm gonna have to wrap my head around it.
Man, the viewers want to see your body transformation, Zach.
I don't have like a before and after, so it wouldn't. I don't know. I also, so I got one of those, I have like a stand-up desk and a walking treadmill. So like I don't run. I should. It would be much better for me. I might have a full-on six-pack if I did run. My brother's a big fan of running, but I I get off of work, like part of the problem is I work at a job where I just like sit all day, so that does not help. But yeah, I'll get off work and I come home and I raise my stand-up desk and I will just walk on my treadmill and I can like listen to podcasts or like play a game or something for at least an hour to try to get my steps in. That's and smart. Then I get to my workout, and I got this one of those pull-up bars that you can just like attach to your doorway.
Oh yeah, and my brother has one of those.
Yeah, I'm getting into that. Like it's very good.
Man, that's crazy. Man, that makes me want to do stuff.
You should do stuff. Actually, like intermittent fasting is very, very, very good for you for like longevity benefits. Like I don't want to be this like hipster like YouTube dude. Like there are tons of things that are out there, but like it can relieve what is
I think I do that on accident because I never have breakfast, and if I ever eat anything in the morning, I feel awful. So I just avoid eating until after noon, and then I have lunch, and then I have dinner usually right when I get home from work at like 5, and I never eat anything after 8 o'clock because, again, if I eat anything after 8 o'clock, I'll wake up and I'll feel disgusting. Yeah. So I kind of do it, but not on purpose.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten out of intermittent fasting more recently just because like I used that as a method of like helping me to lose weight a lot like over the course of last year, but I've sort of fallen off the like regularly scheduled like I'm gonna 2 or 3 days a week I'm gonna like do a like an 18 to 20 hour fast or whatever. I should keep doing it and I do still do it like every once in a while, but you will lose weight if you do it, and it's good. Like I said, I sit most of the day and I still ended up losing a bunch of weight just basically from doing the intermittent fasting even before I started working out.
What's a good resource? Like what guide did you follow to do this?
Well, so there are YouTubers that you can look up. I looked up this one guy, I forget his name. It would be good to actually link to this guy because I found a lot of useful stuff. Like he always like cites a bunch of studies when he talks about fasting. And so I typically will do, if I'm going to fast, I'll do like an 18-hour fast. So I'll like stop eating my schedule is really weird just because of the time I have to work. So it's like not a good example, but if you're going to fast, you're only going to drink water or like black coffee and you don't put anything in it. But then I also have, of course, like cut out sugar and all of that stuff. So I don't eat sweets and I don't really snack. But like your body doesn't really need all that food, to be honest. It just doesn't like, and your body needs to sort of cleanse itself sometimes. So like a fast is good for that. So, you not only lose weight, it cuts down on like inflammation and there are like all these other health benefits. You can sort of, like there have been studies on like how it can help with like keeping cancer at bay or like different things like that. So like your body will go through a process after like a certain amount of hours. I think it's like 16 where like autophagy starts. And so basically your cells start to like regenerate and like it'll kick out the bad ones or whatever. And so there's a lot of good that comes, even if you're not necessarily trying to lose weight, from like trying to work in at least like a fast every now and then just to, for your health. So I highly recommend it. It's good for you. Look up, again, I cannot think of this guy's name, but I'm sure if you just like look up fasting in YouTube, he will pop up because he's like one of the biggest fasting YouTubers out there. But he recommended, he also does keto though, which I do not do. So a lot of his like recommendations for like foods and stuff to eat are keto diet stuff. But he'll like give you recommendations on like how to break your fast. Like, so once you're done and you're ready to start eating, he'll like recommend different types of foods that you should eat and sort of like the process of coming out of a fast. So they're good things that you can learn just from like looking up YouTubers, or you can just, I'm sure if you look online, there are some different people giving out different facts, I'm sure, but like there are some people that are like, if you're going to do a fast, that means nothing, like only water. But this guy's like, nah, coffee's fine. Like black coffee is fine, which works for me. And it actually, I find like when I'm doing a fast, like I will get to a period of time in the day where I'm like really hungry, and I can like that's good for you, but like I can feel it and I'm like, oh man, I'm really hungry right now. And so, but if you drink a lot of water, or you drink, you know, black coffee or like tea with nothing in it, like that'll help sort of keep the hunger pangs away, and you can kind of get through that. And I find like I'll go through like a period of time during the day when I'm fasting where that's like kind of rough, where I'm like hungry and I know I'm hungry the whole time. And so like you can get like a little bit jittery, a little bit, because you're kind of stressing your body a little bit. But like I'll eventually just like come out the other side of that, and I'll just be fine for the rest of the time. And it's like no big deal to like go the rest of the 18 to 20 hours that I normally do.
It's a good, healthy recommendation. And once again, I recommend Ben & Jerry's Netflix and chilled ice cream.
Yeah, and honestly, you can eat that stuff if you're doing your fasting. Like obviously your calorie intake is dropping, so like you can still enjoy some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I don't follow The Rock on Instagram anymore because he got way too into like advertising whatever crazy tequila that he invented. But when I did follow him, man, his cheat days were crazy. He would post pictures of like mountains of chocolate chip cookies and like an entire sheet of sushi rolls and like crazy stuff, and he would just go to town on all that stuff.
I love sushi.
But yeah, interesting. Definitely interesting. I might check out. I mean, I'm not super out of shape, but I'm definitely not in shape, and I'm jealous of your abs.
I mean, I may send you some, if I can look up some of the videos that I watched last year that sort of helped me get in the mindset.
I thought you were going to say you were going to send me your ab pics.
Oh, no. No, I don't really like the idea of this.
Just put on like a Mario shirt or something. It'll be gaming related.
Yeah, maybe. I'll like pose holding an amiibo or something.
Genius.
But no, I don't like I've had friends in the past, or like I know of people that are like, and they take pictures at the gym or whatever, they like showing off their bicep, and I'm like, I never want to be that guy. Like I want to have the bicep, but I don't want to like send a bicep.
I don't know,
pic.
man. If I did a ton of work and I looked like Kumail Nanjiani in that one picture, I would definitely post a picture of that. Fair.
I don't know if I look like him just yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, I think that about does it for this week.
Hopefully, we will be back again soon. Do check out those videos that we have coming up, and go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. I post stuff on our website as well, starsidecafe.com. Like I put up a long impressions that I wrote up about the Outriders demo leading up to, because I knew we were going to do a video about it as well. So go check that out. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, where you might find some photos, who knows. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.